See, supply and demand is not about just the person who's supplying or the person who's raising up for the demand. It's about the person who controls supply and demand. And you see, the whole structure of our political policy and of our political system has always been set up by a corporation or people who control supply and demand, who control both sets of parties. People tend to forget one important thing. The United States of America is a business. It has always been a business. It's always been for sale, up for sale, selling off pieces of this country from day one. You see, people tend to forget that this country runs itself on one important business principle: supply and demand. That same principle of supply and demand runs politics, it runs religion, it runs business, it runs anything that you can apply it to. You see, we look at in life and in the country of America, in our political system of politics, as left and right. That's called supply and demand. When the pendulum swings too far left, you get what? Democratic policy. When the pendulum swings too far right, you get what? Republican policy. But at the same time, if the pendulum is swinging left to right, where is the progress made when it's returning to the place that it left? See, supply and demand is not about just the person who's supplying or the person who's raising up for the demand. It's about the person who controls supply and demand. And you see, the whole structure of our political policy and of our political system has always been set up by a corporation or people who control supply and demand, who control both sets of parties. What do I mean? When a person votes and they cast their vote, they actually think that it matters. That's the sad thing. If you owned a corporation and you ran that corporation, and the only thing that matters at the end of the day is the bottom line, the number, how can I bleed profit in a capitalistic way off of this system? Then there's no way that you would ever allow people in your company that you structured, built, and made and control to have control by voting power or privileges over anything that you own and anything that you're bringing in monetarily. It doesn't make sense. How would you let your children in your own household vote you out of a decision that you would make as the head of the household? How does that make sense when you're bringing in all of the money and you control all of the income of that household? It doesn't. So all I'm saying is Republican and Democrat have always been controlled by corporations, have always been paid for and bought by corporations. What do I mean? I'm a numbers guy. Numbers don't lie unless you manipulate them. When we look at the list of presidents in the United States and their political affiliation, Democrat or Republican, and if we could slice them down the middle, what would those numbers look like from every president that's ever laid foot in this country? This is what it would look like. Republicans, 18. Democrats, 16. Democratic Republican Party, 4. The Whig Party, 4. Federalists, 1. And non-affiliates, 1. I don't know about you, but if you look and see that the numbers are almost split down the middle from left to right, are you going to honestly look me in the face and say that no one's controlling this system? No one is actually manipulating this system, that there's nothing we have to worry about? I'm sorry, you're going to have to pull your head out of the sand and you're going to have to show me something better than that because, hey, the numbers are what the numbers are. Corporations, they run the world.